Okay, so UTM parameters are used when you are needing to track campaigns across platforms. So if you're running campaigns in Google Ads and campaigns in Bing and Facebook, going to a landing page or a website with a common goals on that landing page, you want to be able to track which campaigns and which platforms are performing the best. And the only way to do that is UTM parameters. It's an extension of the URL when you add it to your ads. So when you do it, just to give you an idea of what you see inside Google Analytics, which will be your data hub, is the source medium. So you'll see Google Organic, which is the source and the medium. You can customize this to be whatever you want. You can say Betty Boop email. Now, if you're in Facebook, it gets a little bit different because Facebook is not a Google platform. And so you'll be needing to use your URL builder here. But Facebook does have one built in. So I'll show you that first. Down here at the bottom at the ad level, they have a URL builder built in. Now this should not be capitalized, should be lowercase, CPC, and they have this really great way of adding the campaign name or the ad name or all sorts of stuff dynamically. So you can, if you want to know the placement, you can put it in here and Facebook will attribute each click based on the placement dynamically, which is amazing. You can also do the names and any of these options that you see in here. You can always click learn more and learn more. So this is really, really nice. So I get to go in here and I can search for name. We'll just do campaign name and then it'll attach the campaign name, which is this one up here, MB Tofu SOP library, to the end of all your URLs from Facebook ads. The downfall is that it only attaches to the URL. This is a lead form. It's not a best example, but when you have your website URL, normally it's up here, it will add it dynamically, but it will not add it. That's the headline. It will not add it if you have a link in your primary text. That's the exception. If there's a link in your primary text, you have to go back and use Campaign URL Builder from Google and add it there as a bit.ly link. So a little bit confusing, super important to get proper attribution. If you have links in the ad copy, you have to add bit.ly. But if you don't have links in the ad copy and just the web link, then you can use the one built within. So here's a landing page. This one was going to a blog that we were running to just build awareness. So this link here needs to have the UTM parameters built in. So this is a tool. I'll bring this down so you can see the link that Google created for Google Analytics to create UTM parameters and the links for your campaigns. And it's simple. They give you really clear instructions. You put in your URL, what source you want to track, your medium, and then they give you examples here. This has a red asterisk, but you don't actually need to add it. It's optional. And then it'll create the URL for you. Now this can get ugly. Like if you were adding all sorts of stuff, it gets really, really long. So usually you want to convert it to a short link. You will need to integrate with bit.ly for the first time that you do this. Why bit.ly? I don't know. It was a change maybe, I don't remember now, 18 months ago. Google used to provide you with the link and they said, we're not doing this anymore. If you want it, you need to use bit.ly. So we went, okay, pain in the butt, but whatever. So you integrate with bit.ly and then it's said and done. And then you copy the URL and you place it in your ad campaigns, and then it will track any links and give it proper attribution according to the data that you put in here. At the bottom of this page, there is more information and examples if you're unsure of what to put in there. Again, consistency is key. The other thing that's key is capitalization. So if you do Google and then a Google with a capital G, it will be attributed differently. And I'm going to go into an account where you can see that. So in this account, we were not consistent in creating our UTM parameters, and we ended up with Google, Facebook, and Facebook coming up as separate when they should have actually been one line. So setting that up is super, super important. And another example, like we said PPC here when it should have been CPC. So it should have all been merged together, because if I were to go under goals and overview and do the month of October, I would have needed to see how many conversions we're getting from Facebook versus Google organic, so versus email. So it's not very clean because it's all separate. So that's why it's super important to be consistent and have consistent terminology. I always follow this. I always say, what is the source? So search engine newsletter name, it's always Facebook or Google. I always say whether it's an email or cost per click. So cost per click is CPC. That I always do consistently. And then everything else after this is optional. Now, if you're using Google Ads and you have Google Ads integrated with your Google Analytics, you don't need to use UTM parameters. It will pull it in automatically. So under acquisition and Google Ads, it will actually say which campaign it is and will show you the data in there. So you don't need to worry about UTM parameters with Google Ads. The exception being sometimes, which would be a different video, you want to attribute a lead and actually know which campaign that lead came from. This just shows you data, but it doesn't show you if you have a lead in your CRM, you want to know which campaign that came from, you have to do a different approach using hidden fields and UTM parameters, and that's a different video. This video is just about tracking cross-platform conversions, but not down to the lead level. So that's the bulk of it, to set up UTM parameters. To recap, Google Ads, as long as it's integrated with Google Analytics, you don't need to use it, but you do need to use it for Bing and Facebook. Facebook does have two options. One's built in, one is not. If your link is in the ad copy itself, you need to use it. Otherwise, you can use the native one inside Facebook. Bing has to use the UTM parameters regardless, so you need to add, you can actually add them globally within Bing. It's really easy to do, but you have to add them in order to get proper attribution in Google Analytics, along with other sources, like if you're doing ads on Twitter or TikTok or Snapchat or anything like that, you have to use the UTM parameters in order for it to work. So I will leave it there. That is how you do the UTM parameters to track campaign performance across different platforms.